TOA community, Fit Body Forever, and Fit Body Bootcamp communities. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Robert Linkul, trainingtheolderadult.com, wearing a special shirt today, Sornex. Want to give a special shout out to Bert Soren. His dad, Richard Soren, just passed away a couple of days ago, and I've always been a huge Sornex fan, and I know what a great human being Rich was and what a great dad he was to Bert and the rest of the crew there. So it's with a heavy heart. I understand and know this pain worse than anybody. So all of our best to you, brother. We love you. We appreciate you, and hope that you and the family are doing as good as you possibly can. And rest in peace to Richard. All right, gang, we are going to dive into this topic here, but a quick update on a free webinar we have coming up here just next week. Monday coming up, it is the 19th. No, the 17th, Monday the 17th, yeah, at 11 a.m. Registration link is in our bio, so feel free to click on there. We're going to be going over the top 5 secret, not so secret strategies that we use to work with our older population, so we would love to have you there. We'll be covering all of these topics into that. And make sure you register the link there. If you can't make it live, no problem. Register, watch the recording on demand whenever you want. All right, here's our article for today. Now, this was a little while ago, a couple of months ago, but I thought this was a relatively interesting topic that kind of looked at the idea of, especially older populations, wanting to become active, start into a fitness or resistance training regimen, right? Whatever it is, whatever they're going to start doing. In this case, simply asking people to participate in increasing step counts. There wasn't even weights or a class or anything else. In this study, they simply asked them to just start walking, okay? And what they did was really kind of interesting. This was done over in Singapore, I believe, yeah. And average age individual was 60. These were couples that were I think there were 60 couples that they got together. Husband and wife had been together for 30 plus years on average. They took half of them and let them exercise as couples, and the other half they split up, and they all had to work out on their own. They had to exercise on their own. And out of those two groups, okay, so you had 30 couples and you had 60 individuals over here. Now granted, yes, they were couples, but they weren't allowed to exercise together, is my point. Out of those splits, half of each group got live feedback via some smart technology on how many steps they were getting every day. And the other half only got it at the end of the day. It told them, here's how many steps you got in, right? And so they wanted to see, number one, would live technology give them live feedbacks, give them more incentive to go, oh, I want to get to, and they didn't give them a standard. They just said like, hey, we need you to get 7,500, 1,000, 1,250, or 1,500 steps in a day. Whatever you want to do, just try to hit those benchmarks. You know what I mean? If you make it over 75, try to get to 10,000, etc. And they just left them at that. So the groups were split up. They're able to know on a daily basis how many steps they got, either in the evening or live as they go along. And then the individuals also were getting the same. They were split up as well. Half got the information at the end of the day, the other half got it live. So what they basically found as they went through this was individuals who exercised on their own were much more likely to be more active than when they were working out with their significant other. And a lot of that had to do, as they suggested, with comfort of being with your significant other for so many years. And I found that to be pretty interesting. The ultimate finding was if you're older, than 60, or as in this case, I think the youngest was 53 up to 72, something like that, on average about 60 years old. If you're somewhere in that age bracket and you're looking to join and or start a fitness regimen, as simple as going out walking on the regular basis, or as advanced as getting in and doing resistance training and joining a weight room or joining a class or joining a fitness center or whatever it might be, there's greater likelihood of going to do it and being successful on your own than it is if you go with your significant other. And we've seen this many times. I see this all the time in-house, that when one significant other is here with the other, of course, everybody will work hard, okay? And we'll start to see where some spouses have greater strengths. Maybe one is better on cardiovascular where the other one's better on strength. In most cases, the guys are a little bit stronger and the ladies are a little bit more cardiovascularly endured, but not always. We've had a couple of clients where the women are stronger, okay? Now, with that being said, there's a competitive nature that will come about too. And in many cases, we've seen the husbands or the stronger of the pair not work as hard or not pursue as heavy a load, not to make their significant other feel bad. And the same goes the other way around, where the more conditioned or endured partner will not push the pace or try to lap the other partner to, again, not make them feel bad. However, if they ever show up on their own, we'll see an intensity and a level of work, even with other people in here, but not their significant other, where they're just ruthless and going and pushing as hard as they can. And so in many cases, we will try to take, and I train a lot of couples, but a lot of my couples we train separately. The husbands will be in one group, the wives will be in another group, or however we mix them up, meaning they don't exercise together all the time. Actually, I can only think of 3 couples where I train husband and wife together. In almost all the other ones, one goes on at 6 a.m., the other one comes on at 7, or one's at 7, the other one's at 8. We're almost always staggered because I think they kind of get that feeling too of, well, I don't want to, out hustle or outwork, because we have actually seen, we have a February 14th, Valentine's Day workout that we used to do called Strengthen Your Relationship. And the whole idea was you would come in and work out with your significant other, and we would do give and goes. So one would ski erg and they'd hand the handles to their partner, and they would ski erg, and then the battle rope and they'd hand the battle rope. And you would give and go and you'd work together with your partner. Well, one year I had one station where they had to hold on to a rope for grip strength, or a towel, for grip strength, and the partner had the other side, and they would both squat at the same time. Well, one of the husbands was my size, 240 pounds and 110 kilos, and the wife was about 50 kilos. And so the husband was just not getting that he was literally twice the size of his wife. And then he couldn't sit all the way back into his squat, that he needed to stay a little more upright. And she kept falling over onto him, right? And so after 2 or 3 attempts of doing this, the wife just goes, fuck you, and lets go of the ropes. And the husband falls down and he gets all upset, and they start fighting in the middle of the class. And I have to stop them and take another couple and put the 2 husbands together and put the 2 wives together. And I thought, oh boy, we're supposed to be bringing couples together here, not separating them. But other than that, all the other ones we've done in the past, they all worked out really well. But we didn't take into account how competitive those 2 people were. And those 2, husband and wife, are the most competitive individuals that we have in any of our classes. They always want to win the workout. They always want to outperform everybody else. And there's a part of us as coaches, like, we love that. We want you to work hard, but we also don't want you to work so hard that you end up hurting yourself or hurting your partner because you're trying to win the workout. Because at the end of the day, gang, like, what happens? We erase the whiteboard or we file away the workout and nobody cares. Like, we all move on. But everybody in that class knows, like, you're the biggest and the baddest. Like, that's fine, but that's not something that, we're not setting world records here, is my point, okay? So kind of with that being said, and with the research that they found in this study, pretty interesting to see that you may want to pursue a fitness program on your own if you really want to be successful. And I think a lot of times we think it's the other way around. I want to have somebody to join in with. That's almost always the advice you give somebody if they're a first-time worker outer. What's some advice you can give them? And you're like, get a workout partner, hold accountable, this and that. It probably does help with the accountability. There's often times where we'll have a teammate that will say, I don't feel like coming in today. I didn't want to come in today, but I came in because I knew Linda and Kathleen were going to be here, and so I showed up, right? Well, Kathleen and Linda are not their significant others, right? Like, Lydia shows up because she's got 2 workout partners, not her spouse that she's coming in to work out with. In many cases, the spouse will say, I don't feel great today, and the significant other will go, I'll stay home too. And you'll work down to the limitation of the significant other rather than saying, no, you really need to come, and insisting that they'll come up and say, you need to get over this and just, get in there. Let's just get started, and I'm sure you'll feel better once we get going. It's so much easier to go the other way around. So it doesn't mean that you can't find a workout partner to work out with and have someone to help you hold accountability and to help you in your fitness endeavors, absolutely, by all means do that. Just may not want to be the person that you're married to or that you live with, because according to this, in many cases, they're only going to hold you back in this case because of the comfort in which you two have developed with each other. We don't want to create conflict. You don't want to create issues. And just based on my anecdotal experience after reading this, the whole reason I picked this is because I knew it was pretty damn true. We see it in here all the time. I have one couple in particular where the husband does not work as hard because he knows his wife will get upset because he's gaining and improving more than she is. And vice versa, the wife will not go as hard because she knows the husband can't keep up when it comes to the cardiovascular side of things. So not a bad idea to say, yeah, I want to have a partner and I want to, become a regular participant, improve my health and my strength and all this. Maybe not with your significant other is what this is really looking at. And then in terms of smart technology, the ones that got the immediate feedback, as you could probably predict, were the ones that found more motivation on a daily basis to pursue the next level. And so if you got done with your workout and you looked and you go, oh man, I'm 1,100 steps short of it, they would go out for a little bit more of a walk and they would try to hit these next level of incentives, knowing that they're gonna bracket in. Where at the end of the day, they would look and go, oh, I was 1,100 short, and now the next day I need to get how many more minutes, right? Now you're kind of looking at this like live tracker versus the end of the day final input. But how focused are you then on anything else and everything else in your day if you're always looking at, this kind of thing? Also, you're looking at older populations and maybe folks are now into retirement and don't have as many responsibilities. So maybe this is a good thing for us to start to look at and say, yeah, let's try to hit these next levels. Let's make sure everybody's getting at least 7,500 steps in a day. If not, 10,000 steps would be awesome. Now, beyond that, you should be resistance training twice a week, 3 times a week. You should be going out and swimming or golfing or playing tennis. Ideally, you're being active every single day is the goal. 45 minutes to 60 minutes doing something, even if it's just getting out and walking, being safe, walking at a high intensity, carrying a backpack or wearing a vest so you're out rucking. Something along those lines will help your bone density and your strength. Ultimately, technology is being more and more integrated into our fitness regimen. And I think we're seeing more potential for technology to play positive roles. There are settings on my Apple Watch where if I am to fall onto the ground quickly, this will send an alert to send help to come in, because my watch recognizes when I am upright and when I'm moving and when I violently fall onto the ground on my side. It can recognize that. And especially if I have my phone in my pocket at the same time, if you wear your watch on your left wrist and put your phone in your back right pocket, it can assess your gait and measure your gait and your stride speed and length. And it recognizes regular practices, regular strides and standing postures, and when in the day when you are exercising, when you're walking, when you're not. And so if something suddenly changes, where you are upright and then all of a sudden you're down on your side and not moving and your heart rate is racing or dropping, it's going to recognize you're in trouble and it'll ask you, do you need help? I had one time where I tripped in the yard when we were pulling weeds and this, and I got my boot laces hooked around a nail and I tumbled down. And my watch goes, it shows that you just fell down. Do you need help? And it gave me like 5 seconds to hit no, or else it was gonna send an alert. And send somebody to come, first responders to come and find me. I think that's a great thing to have, especially as an older adult, and if you're by yourself, for sure. You should have that. You should always carry your phone, a little bit extra cash with you too, just in case you need to get a cab ride, or I guess an Uber in this case, carrying your phone and having your app. Like, always take those extra precautions just in case you do get hurt or you get tired or you get lost or something like that and you need to be able to find your way back and get a ride back. There's nothing wrong with that. I've had plenty of times too where I go out and I'm 7-8 miles out there and I'm like, dude, I'm doing great, and then my back starts to hurt and I gotta call Keeg to come and get me. Like, those things happen. But if you don't have your phone, you don't take precaution, you don't bring sunblock, you don't bring your glasses, you don't hat, all those kinds of things, you got to think about all that kind of stuff, especially when you're going out and about and if you're by yourself. So I think technology plays a pretty good role in this, and having good opportunities to set up a regimen that is going to encourage you to be consistent and successful. If that includes having a partner, I think that's great. But according to this study, maybe it shouldn't be the person you're married to and you spend the majority of your time with in-house. Maybe there's too competitive a nature there. Maybe there are some incentives for us not to get into the best shape that we can because our significant other maybe is lacking in the motivation or is going to feel that there's an imposter syndrome or that they're becoming a second priority, all kinds of other issues that can kind of come about from this. However, never going to encourage someone to not exercise. I'm always going to encourage people to go out and be as active as they can and be healthy. And if that includes you feeling most comfortable going with your significant other, do it. These studies are never 100%, but they do give us some good indicators of some things to think about. All right, gang, I hope you enjoyed this. Any comments, questions, you let me know in the comment section down below. If not, continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.